Sasaki. Madam Chair Lonis.
Here. May I have a motion for an excused absence for Commissioners Hamada and Sasaki?
So moved. I'll second.
Commissioner Eaglesmith.
Yes.
Commissioner Harry.
Yes.
Commissioner Kartsonis.
Yes.
Commissioner Coas.
Yes.
Madam Chair Lonis.
Yes. Commissioner Cohas, would you please lead us in the flag salute?
Ready, begin.
May I have a report of the posting of the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair, the agenda was posted by the City Clerk's office on Wednesday, February 4th, 2026.
Thank you. Are there any withdrawn, deferred, and/or supplemental items?
There are none.
Request clarification or refer the item to staff. Speakers under this public comment period will have no longer than 2 minutes per speaker. Is there anyone that would wish to speak? Seeing no one, we will.
Sorry, Polly, you have one hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And to confirm, sir, this is for an item not posted on the agenda? I believe we are okay to proceed. Thank you.
That brings us to item 6, consent calendar. We will now consider the consent calendar. Matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed by a commissioner from the consent calendar and considered separately. Is there anyone from the commission that would like to be heard? I will take a motion then.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second. Commissioner Eaglesmith.
Yes.
Commissioner Harry.
Yes.
Commissioner Kartsonis.
Yes.
Commissioner Coas.
Yes.
Madam Chair Lonis.
Yes. Okay, and item 7, administrative matters. There is no business to consider. So that brings us to item 8, hearings. Now is the time, date, and place to hear the appeal of discipline filed by a police officer. The hearing is confidential under Penal Code 832.7 and Copley Press versus Superior Court 39, Cal 4th, 1272, 2006. California Government Code Section 54957B1 provides that consideration of public employee discipline will be conducted in closed session unless the employee requests to have the hearing in open session. The police officer received notice of their right to have this hearing in an open session. Counsel for the employee confirmed the request for an open hearing at the pre-hearing conference on July 31st, 2025. This hearing is a continuation of the hearing of Police Officer Julian Vazquez, which will be conducted in an open session as requested by the employee. Before we begin the hearing, we will take public comments. Please note we anticipate this hearing to span multiple hearing nights, and each member of the public will only be given one opportunity to comment on this item. Meaning, if you comment tonight, you cannot comment on this item in a future hearing date. Is there anyone from the public who would like to be heard? Please raise your hand at this time. So I see 2, 3 people? Okay, you will have 2 minutes each to address the hearing on the agenda. So if you would like to approach the podium.
My wife come with me too?
Yes.
Sir, we will have you state your name for the record, and then you can begin to speak.
My name is Joseph Vasquez. Members of the city's civil service panel, we are speaking today as Julian's parents and as the family that understands this profession deeply. I am a retired Los Angeles County Deputy Sheriff, and law enforcement has been part of our lives for decades. We know the weight of the badge, the scrutiny that comes with it, and the importance of accountability. We have always raised our sons with those same values. Julian has wanted to be a police officer with the city of Torrance since he was a small child. He pursued the goal with intention, pride, and respect for this city. When he graduated from the academy, he earned his badge and he wore it with honor. His work was praised by supervisors and peers, his arrests were highlighted by the department, and at no point was he told his performance was deficient or that corrective action was needed. This is what makes what followed so troubling. Julian was abruptly relieved of duty without warning, guidance, or opportunity to correct any alleged issues. He was a young officer, yet he received no evaluation, no remediation, and no additional training. Instead, he was subjected to prolonged investigations, uncertainty, and damage to his reputation that has lasted for over 2 years. During that time, his integrity and character were questioned. Despite body camera footage, supervisory approval, and internal processes that have previously cleared his actions. In any profession, especially one that carries life and death responsibilities, leaders have a duty to train, guide, and correct. If Julian needed direction, why would we see never giving it? I know firsthand how devastating it is to have your integrity questioned while simply doing your job. We also know that if something tragic had happened to Julian in the line of duty, he would be honored as a hero. Julian is an honest, dedicated, and proactive police officer.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your consideration.
Good evening, Commissioners. This case is not just about...
Excuse me, sir, if you could name for the record, please.
My name is Nick Wilson. This case is not just about Officer Julian Vazquez. It's about what kind of police department Torrance is becoming, and the message that's being sent to every police officer still wearing the badge. Julian and his family have paid... Okay, well, I got 2 minutes. You can reclaim my time. Julian and his family have paid a devastating price. They lost their home. They lost their health insurance just months before the birth of their child. We're talking about families, children, and lives being upended. As a representative example of what is happening inside this department, a sergeant was ordered to change another officer's evaluation to negatively impact that officer. When that sergeant questioned the reason, the lieutenant allegedly became frustrated and walked away. Weeks later, that same sergeant's son was relieved of duty and terminated, and the evaluation had been changed under the sergeant's signature. At minimum, the appearance of retaliation should deeply concern this commission. Julian did what every police officer is trained and expected to do. He interrupted an in-progress burglary targeting a small business. The suspect fled and resisted, and Julian used his department-issued taser to overcome resistance and make an arrest. I would have done the same thing when I was a police officer, so would most cops. So when good officers are terminated for reasonable, lawful use of force, officers that hesitate and second-guess themselves becomes a real problem. Hesitation can cost them their lives. This profession is violent. It is unpredictable and unforgiving. Decisions are made in seconds, not in hindsight. I don't know if you've ever attended a law enforcement funeral, but if you have, you know it changes you forever. You're not being asked to excuse misconduct because there was none. You're asked to correct an injustice that is deeply plaguing this department, and I know for certain the public will certainly be mortified to hear of. We respectfully ask you to reinstate Officer Julian Vazquez because he is a hero.
Thank you. And if you could state your name again for the record.
Yes, ma'am. Hello, everyone. My name is Delbert Moore, and I've known Julian since he was born. I'm a retired lieutenant with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. I was president of our union for several years, and I would oftentimes be in the same situation where you guys are, where we would have to go over the merits of fired deputy sheriffs. I've been on 15 to 20 of these cases in my career, and never have I ever come across anyone who was more deserving to stay on the department than Julian. I've known him since he was a child. His father and me were carpool partners in the academy. I watched Julian along with his brothers grow up. You will not find a more dedicated, honorable family in the city of Torrance, where his parents live to this day. He's a proud officer, and he would never do anything to dishonor his family, himself, or his community. So these charges, I hope that Tom, you'll listen to Attorney Yu, put forward a good presentation today, and please listen with open minds and allow Julian to get back onto the force that he so richly loved to be a part of. Thank you very much.
Before we move on, is there anybody else that would like to be heard? Thank you. Who will represent Police Officer Julian Vazquez this evening?
Good morning, everyone. Colin here on behalf of Officer Vazquez, who's present, seated next to me.
Thank you. And who will represent the Police Department this evening?
Nicholas Grether, Leader Cassie Whitmore, and Lieutenant Daniel Murray.
Thank you. Each party was provided with a copy of the Commission's procedures for disciplinary appeal hearings with the pre-hearing conference summary. I'm confirming that each party received those procedures, and if either party has any questions. Mr. Yu?
You received it, no questions.
Thank you. Mr. Grether?
Yes, received and no questions.
Thank you. As this is an open hearing, I will briefly describe the hearing procedures and the role of the Commission to the audience. Both parties will have the opportunity to provide opening statements. Both parties will then have the opportunity to present their case in chief and call witnesses to provide testimony, with the department presenting their case first. After a party has finished their direct examination, meaning asking questions of a witness, the other party will have the ability to cross-examine the witness. The initial party will then have the ability to redirect questions, and the other party will have the ability to ask recross questions. The Commission may then ask questions of the witness. The audience is not permitted to ask questions. We will take a short break approximately every hour to hour and a half. 2 hard copies of the hearing exhibits are available at the back of the council chambers for review during the hearing and are available for review during business hours in the office of the city clerk. Electronic versions of the hearing exhibits are available online and are accessible through the link in the agenda item for this matter. The hearing is currently scheduled to continue on February 23rd, March 2nd, March 9th, and March 30th. When both parties have concluded their case in chief, they will each have an opportunity to provide closing statements. The Commission will then convene into closed session for deliberations and make a decision on the matter. The Commission's role is to listen to all testimony and evidence from both parties and decide whether violations of policy occurred. The department has to approve by the preponderance of the evidence. The preponderance of the evidence means that it is more likely to have happened than not. If the Commission finds that a policy violation occurred, the Commission would then decide whether the discipline imposed was appropriate. The standard of review for appropriate discipline is whether the decision was an abuse of discretion. An abuse of discretion is an error of judgment that is clearly unreasonable, erroneous, arbitrary, and not justified by the facts or the applicable law of the case. If the Commission finds no abuse of discretion, then the discipline decision stands. If the Commission finds abuse of discretion occurred, the Commission can reverse the discipline in whole, in which case the discipline gets undone, or can reverse it in part, which reduces the level of discipline. The Commission may reduce a discharge to a suspension not to exceed 60 days. The Commission may not increase the level of discipline. Formal rules of evidence need not apply. However, the Commission shall exclude incompetent, irrelevant, and immaterial witness. We will hear evidence on both the truth of the charges and the appropriateness of the penalty. Does either party wish to divide these issues? Mr. Yu?
No.
Mr. Grether?
No.
And we're almost done here. Are both parties requesting for witnesses to be excluded from the council chambers except when they are actively testifying? Mr. Yu?
No.
And Mr. Grether?
No.
Okay. Are there any other procedural motions that should be, Any procedural requests or motions shall be made before the hearing unless the problem does not become evident until after the hearing has begun. Are there any procedural matters that the Commission should address? Mr. Yu?
No.
And Mr. Grether?
The only one would be the request that the exhibits offered by the department be admitted into evidence, and Spencer then that part.
Is that agreeable to you?
I don't know which one council's referring to. I mean, I don't, at this point in time, I don't suppose I oppose any admission of exhibits, but I don't think we should admit all of them ahead of time, because if council doesn't present an exhibit, then you all will have an exhibit that's not presented to evidence, and that might be problematic. So when council is identifying an exhibit to be presented, I'm not going to object to the admission or authenticity, but I don't know if council is going to introduce every single exhibit that's been previously marked. That's the plan, but I figured we would just say over time.
All right, thank you. And at this time, Ms. Cohen, do we have any procedural matters to address?
We do, thank you, Madam Chair. We will now review the witness list to determine if any commissioners would have a personal relationship or conflict of interest. From you, I can review the 4 subpoenas that were requested, and then if you want to confirm if there's any other witnesses you intend to call.
I did submit a witness list. Office subpoenas issued.
Is that for Michael Chance, Brandon Gonzak, Andrew Lee, and Arlen Wells?
I can pull up the witness list email to you. Just so I don't hold up the time, maybe you should ask the department witnesses. I mean, our witnesses are going to overlap, but I did submit a witness list to you at the first pre-hearing conference back in November.
That was prior to the exhibits.
Correct.
We can move on to the department. Department witnesses listed are Danny Santana, Jeremiah Jay Hart, Charles Fisher, Julian Vazquez, Kent Crumbach, Jason Misulkus, Mark Underwood, Daniel Sid, Robert Dunn, and Mitchell Tavera. Tavera? Thank you. So commissioners, I will start with the list of department witnesses. You do have that in your binders as well. And I will go in roll call order. If you can please confirm if you have any personal relationship with the listed witnesses or any conflict of interest that may preclude you from being able to hear the matter this evening. I will start with Commissioner Adelsman.
I know Mr. Santana and Chief Hart, but I know them not as well as I know you, so I don't have a relationship with them and nothing that would interfere.
Thank you. Do either of the parties have any questions for Commissioner Adelsman?
I do not.
Thank you. Commissioner Herring.
I too know Danny Santana and Jeremiah Hart, just been doing business, but I have no conflict, no idea. Don't know the other.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Yu?
No.
And Mr. Grether?
No.
Thank you. I will now move to Commissioner Kartsonis.
I also know Jeremiah Hart, but not personally. I've just said hello and shook his hand, and that's all.
Thank you. Mr. Yu?
No.
Mr. Grether?
No.
Commissioner Coas?
I do know Mr. Santana and Mr. Chief Hart as a city person, but it is, I don't have a personal relationship with them and nothing that would be a conflict of interest.
Thank you so much. Mr. Yu?
No.
Mr. Grether?
No.
And Madam Chair Lomas?
I did have a brief working relationship with Danny Santana when I worked for the city of Torrance about 12 or 13 years ago, but I haven't seen him much since. I've met Chief Hart briefly in passing. I don't have an ongoing relationship with either party.
Thank you. Mr. Yu?
No.
Mr. Grether?
No.
Thank you. And then, Mr. Yu, I do have the list provided, I believe it was July 31st, which listed Captain Martin Vukatek and Sergeant Arlen Wells.
Correct, along with the 4 subpoena witnesses.
Thank you. I apologize, I misspoke for the record. I do not have the new witness list, which includes those subpoenaed witnesses, which of course, if they're subpoenaed, they would be called. Do you have any additional witnesses you intend to call in this matter?
I do not.
Okay, so I will read those names again for the record, for the commissioners. That is Captain Martin Vukatek, Arlen Wells, Michael Chance, Andrew Lee, and Brandon Gonzak. I will note for the commissioners, you are all familiar with Brandon Gonzak as he serves as a attorney for the commission whenever Ms. Litvin is not serving as an attorney for the commission. With that, with those 5 names, I will turn first to Commissioner Adelsman.
I have to admit that until you told me that was who Brandon was, I didn't recognize the last name. So I would say to you, I have no problems with any of those names.
And you have no personal relationship or bias?
No.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Yu? Mr. Grether?
No.
I will turn to Commissioner Herring.
I have no personal relationship with any of the persons in here.
Thank you. Mr. Yu?
No.
Mr. Grether?
No.
I'll turn to Commissioner Kartsotis.
I have no personal relationship with any of the names mentioned.
Thank you. Mr. Yu? Mr. Grether? No. I will now turn to Commissioner Coas.
Ms. Cohen, can you repeat the name you listed after Mr. Chance?
Yes, Andrew Lee.
I do not have any personal relationship with any of these folks.
Thank you so much. Mr. Grether? No. And finally, Madam Chair Lonis.
Likewise, I have no relationships with any of these parties listed.
Thank you. Mr. Yu? No. Mr. Grether? No. Okay, thank you both. With that, Madam Chair, we can proceed. And I do not believe there are any other procedural matters the Commission will need to address this evening as the parties have confirmed.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So that brings us to opening statements. Each party's opening statement should not exceed 45 minutes as agreed to in the pre-hearing conference. Staff will provide a 5-minute warning before the end of the 45-minute period. Mr. Yu, would you like to present your opening statement following Mr. Grether, or delay your opening statement until you present your appellant's case?
I'm going to present after the department presents its opening statement.
Very good.
Can I actually confirm with Ms. Cohen as far as how she wants the, I have a PowerPoint slide.
Do y'all both have that available via flash drive?
Can we take a brief recess while we get this started, and then we'll be ready to go?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. You can recess to the side.
So we're off the record. We'll come back in 10.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Nicholas Grether, and I have the privilege and honor of representing the City of Torrance's Police Department in this appeal of discipline. The evidence will show that former police officer Julian Vazquez committed severe misconduct when he violated any number of department policies. He violated the California state law on use of force as well as the department's policies when he applied pressure to the trachea and windpipe of a subject while attempting to effect an arrest on multiple occasions. The prohibitions on chokeholds in the state of California forbid what Officer Vazquez did in this exact scenario. Applying pressure to a person's trachea or windpipe. It will also be no surprise to the Commission that Officer Vazquez failed to accurately report and document what had occurred on that day. The evidence will also show that Officer Vazquez committed 7 other incidents of misconduct, all of which justify termination on their own, except for one, which we will discuss. The incidents are continuing searches after consent has been withdrawn, lying about the consequences of taking a breathalyzer test to a DUI suspect, using profanity during a traffic stop and failing to request a supervisor when it was requested, conducting a pat-down search without another officer present, jeopardizing his own safety, conducting a vehicle pat-down without support for how the suspect in that situation posed a threat, given that he was already out of the vehicle, seated on the curb, and covered by another officer. For failing to accurately and sufficiently report his actions and observations, which led him to testify incorrectly. And lastly, failing to report his contact with the suspect. The issues before the Commission are whether or not the department can establish that Officer Vazquez committed these violations of policies, and then whether or not the city abused its discretion in imposing termination. The evidence will show that there's no reasonable dispute as to what occurred. Body cam video was reviewed. Officer Vazquez and other officers were interviewed, establishing that Officer Vazquez did precisely the things that he's being accused of here. The evidence will show that Officer Vazquez continuously undercut his responsibilities. It's not a new officer simply making mistakes. The evidence will show further that the city's decision to impose termination was not an abuse of discretion, but rather the only reasonable course of conduct, and that his instances of misconduct justify termination. Officer Vazquez began his career at the Torrance Police Department in May of 2021. And in July of 2023, while arresting a subject, Officer Vazquez, had detained Mr. Garcia, the suspect, had him handcuffed, and had him searched outside of the vehicle. In attempting to complete the arrest, Mr. Garcia did resist. He resisted being placed into the car. This is what happened next. Officer Vazquez then used his hands to use force on Mr. Garcia's neck. On the first occasion, this was to get him into the vehicle. The suspect complained that he was being choked. On the second instance, Officer Vazquez again applied force on the suspect's neck to move him further into the vehicle. Again, the suspect complained that he was being choked. Department policy is clear. It has been since 2021. The chokeholds and neck restraints are prohibited. Force must be objectively reasonable, and you must use de-escalation tactics. This policy, as you see there on the screen, is consistent with the state of California's law. Even defensive tactics are prohibited to apply force to the trachea or windpipe of a suspect. It is simply no excuse that the suspect was resisting. It is not permitted under California law or department policy. Similarly important is what happened next. Officer Vazquez failed to document his use of force accurately, and that omission matters. Reporting on your activities is not optional. It is not a paperwork technicality. It is how the department ensures accountability, transparency, and maintains the public trust. During the hearing, you may hear from some employees who initially thought that Officer Vazquez's use of force was reasonable. However, you'll hear from Lieutenant Fisher, who reviewed it as part of the standard practice at the department, that they needed to look into this further, and that the in-car camera shows Officer Vazquez's use of force to the suspect's trachea and windpipe. Ultimately, the city found that this violation alone justifies termination. But that's just one basis for it. There were other instances of misconduct. In June of 2023, Officer Vazquez was conducting a traffic stop based on what he saw to be an expired registration. He was advised by the department's dispatch that the suspect was a gang member and that another unit would be sent to assist. Officer Vazquez, prior to the other unit assisting, got out of his vehicle, went to question the driver, and then asked the suspect to leave the vehicle. While moving the suspect next to the fence, he conducted a pat-down search prior to the other officer being on scene. Department policy requires the use of cover officers. Searching a suspect alone can be dangerous. He was aware that another unit was on its way to assist him. It was only months later that the city had received a claim form from that suspect's attorney alleging false arrest and an unlawful search. That was the reason that the department initiated the investigation at that time. It trusted Officer Vazquez based on his report and what had occurred. And the investigation revealed that Officer Vazquez simply compounded one unsafe decision after another. He had him get out of the car despite knowing he was an admitted gang member, and then instead of waiting for the other unit, he chose to conduct that pat-down search. Another incident was in October of 2023. This is the one incident that the city does not contend justifies termination on its own, but in conjunction with the others, it shows the pattern and why progressive discipline is inappropriate in this case. Officer Vazquez, despite policy requirements, failed to complete a field interview card on his traffic stop of a suspect. This is basic police work. That documentation is essential for officer safety and accountability. And this failure occurred after prior incidents had already placed Officer Vazquez under scrutiny for not filling out his paperwork correctly or at all, demonstrating a continued disregard for his core responsibilities. In November of 2023, Officer Vazquez conducted a stop of a suspect for equipment violation. In the brief stop, Officer Vazquez used profanity. He asked the suspect to get out of the car and placed her in handcuffs. She then made a request for a supervisor 7 times, and he failed to get one. While Officer Vazquez released the suspect, he failed to document his use of the handcuffs and the reasons for doing so. Again, failing to document the very important issues that occurred on that stop. Then again, in November of 2023, the department was brought to light a number of other issues related to Officer Vazquez. The first was with a DUI stop. Officer Vazquez and another officer responded to a scene of one car crash. The other officer provided the required advisement to the suspect that he's required to submit to a chemical test, either blood or breath. The other officer explained the advantages of the blood test. He gave the suspect what's called a trombetta advisement. It's a legally required admonition under the California Vehicle Code. This advisement is something that officers have access to, and they can provide it verbatim. It's not something difficult to obtain. And in this case, Officer Vazquez's partner had already provided that advisement. Despite that, Officer Vazquez then discouraged the driver from submitting to a blood test. Stated that by taking a breathalyzer test, the suspect would avoid fines, and he would avoid getting his license suspended for months. He chose not to read it verbatim. In the criminal DUI case, the suspect's attorney made a motion to suppress, and that was granted on a finding of coercion. The judge found that Officer Vazquez had given a faulty DUI admonishment, and there was a finding of coercion, because during the hearing, Officer Vazquez admitted that his statements about license consequences, were not true. That he would face license consequences for his actions, regardless of a breathalyzer or a blood test. These statements weakened the prosecution and led to a lesser charge of wet reckless. In this case, credibility is the foundation of police work, and an officer who gives false or coercive information during a DUI investigation compromises not only that case, but every case that depends on their testimony. It's not a technical violation, it's a credibility issue that was completely avoidable. In another incident, Officer Vazquez asked a suspect in a traffic stop for permission to search the vehicle. Less than a minute later, that suspect withdrew their consent. Officer Vazquez's partner reported that the consent was withdrawn, and Officer Vazquez responded, "Yeah, okay." He understood, but he continued to search the vehicle. Searched it for 37 seconds, then claimed that he had found narcotics before the consent was withdrawn, but his continued search made it so there could be no way to confirm when he found the narcotics. During the investigation, Officer Vazquez claimed that he continued the search in order to develop the strongest possible case. But his actions ended up sinking that case. Continuing the search violated constitutional protections and jeopardized the admissibility of evidence, further undermining his credibility and reliability. On another instance, he provided conflicting testimony from his report and from video footage. He failed to include details in his report. As the officers passed by the suspect's vehicle, Officer Vazquez testified that he saw that they had an illegal tint and that he could not see inside the car. However, the video showed that the windows were down, and that he had to admit under oath that the tint was not visible, at least from the driver's side. He did not include that information in his report, nor did he include the other vital information, that he had observed the vehicle before and seen the illegal tint at that time. That was a critical detail that he could have included in his report, would have allowed him to testify correctly. It led him to admitting that his prior testimony had been incorrect when he was shown the vehicle. Now, officers need a reason to conduct a traffic stop, but it cannot be a false reason. Lastly, Officer Vazquez conducted another traffic stop on a vehicle. After the suspect was removed from the vehicle, Officer Vazquez handcuffed him and sat him down on the curb away from the car. That suspect was overseen by another officer who was on the scene. Officer Vazquez then went ahead to go conduct a search of the vehicle, based on his suspicion that the suspect had a weapon in the car. And during the search, indeed, he found a handgun, ammunition, marijuana, LSD, and zip ties, all things that would be useful in a criminal prosecution. While Officer Vazquez claimed that he was entitled to conduct the search, he could not explain how a suspect sitting on a curb, handcuffed, being monitored by another officer, away from the car, posed a sufficient threat to obtain a weapon out of his car. and as a result, the charges were rejected. A police officer has many, many responsibilities. Control the city, enforce the law, comply with the law, report on their actions, and testify truthfully, and keep themselves, their colleagues, and the public safe. Rather, Officer Vazquez's actions reveal an abuse of power, the disregard for the rights of others. The chief of police and the city manager are entrusted with protecting the public, cannot tolerate risks, and cannot take any more hits to credibility. The city did not rush to judgment here. It investigated thoroughly, applied the law carefully, and acted to protect the public service. Viewed together, these incidents revealed a pattern. There was excessive force, there was unlawful searches, there were reporting failures, all credibility compromising conduct within a period of about 18 months. It's not a new officer making mistakes. Rather, it was an officer not following the rules, acting callously, undermining his credibility, making him unfit for the position of police officer. While the city considered progressive discipline, it's not something that's correctable, because the misconduct reveals a mindset. It's not being late to work. It's not going to the wrong address on a call. The mindset here is that the rules do not apply, which increases the likelihood of liability and injury. And when misconduct poses ongoing risk to the public and the department, termination becomes the only reasonable solution. The evidence will support the findings and that the penalty opposed was not an abuse of discretion. An abuse of discretion means that a decision was arbitrary or unreasonable or because someone was acting capriciously. It's not simply that someone else would have made a different decision. For these reasons, and based on the evidence that we presented in this hearing, the department respectfully asks that the commission uphold the termination. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grether. Mr. Yu?
I'm going to confer with Mr. Yu off the record for one moment on the presentation. Is there audio?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we're good. It's okay. Yeah, we're good. All right. May I proceed?
Yes.
All right. Good evening. My name is Tom Yu. As all of you, we've been here many times in the past, and I'm very honored to represent Officer Vazquez. Before I get into what the evidence would show from our perspective, I want to comment on the police department's opening statement, because opening statement is what we attorneys believe what evidence was shown in this case through exhibits such as videos, policies, witness statements, and testimony. And part of, I think, my duty as an attorney in this tribunal, even though we're not in court, is provide all of you an overview, but an accurate, precise overview of what we believe the evidence will show. Now, what you've heard from the police department's attorney is bits and pieces of his perspective, the evidence. I will say this, I'm not going to call counsel unethical, but there are numerous gross misrepresentations that counsel has made that the evidence would not show. For instance, there were comments about my client engaging, and I wrote it, in severe misconduct on multiple occasions, applying pressure to a trachea and windpipe. There will be no evidence of that. There will be no evidence of multiple occasions of Officer Vazquez applying such excessive force. You will all have to decide why Mr. Counsel has elected to fashion his opening statement. There will be no evidence of any false statements on Officer Vazquez. That will not be in any evidence. No witness is ever going to come here, take an oath, and say, my client lied. You will not hear that. Why Mr. Guthrie decided to proffer that as their overview as an attorney in this state is something you'll have to ask about credibility. Because credibility matters, doesn't it? What we say up here, what we believe the evidence will show matters. Because this is about credibility. When I come up here to represent Officer Julian Vazquez, I'm telling you as his counsel what I believe evidence will show. And I will do the best of my ability to give you an accurate and precise overview of what I believe the evidence will be. There was no progressive discipline because there was none given. I will now go over the entire charges that led to my client's termination. But before I do that, I think it is important that we all know who Julian Vazquez is. We're not dealing with a piece of paper of a termination case. We're dealing with a human being who has families, who has a great support. So I want to take a few moments and just introduce you who Julian Vazquez is. Julian Vazquez is 25 years old, and he's a father of two with a 2-year-old son and a brand new baby girl. He's the sole income maker. He's the sole income provider for his family. As you heard from his father, he comes from a very thick line of public service. His brother is a firefighter. His father is a 30-year veteran of Elliott County Sheriff's Department, honorably retired. His blood is in public service. He wanted to be a cop since he was a very young child. At 14 years old, Julian did enter into public service. He went to the Sheriff's Department and became an explorer, meaning he got into, at the Sheriff's Department, there's a program for young teenagers who aspire to be future deputy sheriffs or police officers. He did that program. And at 18 years old, he decided he wanted to come back to the city that he grew up in. He cares so much about. So he came back and he started to be a city employee at 18 years old. He became a park ranger. At 19 years old, he actually got hired as a cadet, as a civilian worker, taking some non-criminal cases, calls for service, and helping the police department as a police cadet. And then when a few years later, he became a police officer in the city where he grew up in. Counsel has made reference to a lot of misconduct, but what I'm gonna do for all of you is break down each of the misconduct so all of you have a very precise and accurate overview of what you're going to see in the next coming weeks. It's gonna get a little bit confusing, so what I did was I broke down in a chronological order and with the parties involved named so all of you can follow along as we go. There are 9 total, and I can tell you the severe misconduct that counsel referred to, my client, Officer Vazquez, got an education reminder. That is the severe misconduct that counsel somehow was saying that alone, remember that? He just said it right here. He said that alone would justify termination. Well, Julian got an education reminder, which isn't even discipline. And so the 9 misconduct starts from February of 2022 when my client, Officer Vazquez, was on field training. And I'll go over in the next few minutes what being on field training program is about. The first incident happened in February 3rd of 2022, okay? So as all of you perhaps remember from other incidents and cases we've had before the commission, the law, talking about the law, provides that the police department has 1 year, 365 days to issue a notice of intent to discipline someone when they have knowledge, okay? So when they have knowledge, the police department cannot wait until somebody disagrees. That date, the law is very clear that it starts that day, okay? So in this DUI case that Mr. Grothrer was referring to, I'll give you a better context and perspective of what it happened and how it happened so all of you can understand what my client went through. As a brand new street cop in the state of California, whether you work for the Sheriff's Department or Torrance PD, you have to go through a field training program. It's like a mentorship program. You ride with a senior officer and they show you the ropes of what to do. That is when you got to make the mistakes because you're a brand new officer. You just graduated the academy. Your uniform's nice and tight. You go into a briefing and you're partnered up with not a regular partner, with a field training officer. That field training officer teaches you how to perform police work. That's your mentor. And you're gonna make a lot of mistakes at field training because we're all humans and nothing's perfect. So this DUI stop that Mr. Grothrer was referring to was Julian's first DUI. Very first one, okay? So this happened in February 2022. The evidence in this case will show that Officer Vazquez, after making the mistake, actually passed the field training program. Meaning his field training officer said, hey, I know you made a mistake. Here's the form that you didn't fill out. You did a good job in light of your lack of experience. Now you know better. Now, what's important is that the Torrance Police Department knew about this incident because a sergeant signed off, approved Julian Vazquez's training program, knowing about this DUI stop. That is very important that Mr. Guthrie left off, is that the police department actually signed off, approved, sanctioned, and passed Julian from field training. No progressive discipline, nothing about you're such a horrible person, or I think what he said, callous was his word that he used. No such word mentioned anywhere. Passed him. And Mr. Yusuf actually pled out to a lesser charge. However, there is no evidence in the notice of intent that you're going to see. There's no evidence that that lesser included plea came from because of Julian's mistake. There will be no evidence of that. If there is any evidence of witness testimony, it would not be in the termination packet before all of you. I want to read you because I think as an officer of the court of presenting evidence, I think it's very important to be precise. So instead of me telling you words, I will show you exactly what his field training officer wrote about Julian. This is in the daily observation report. You'll see it in the exhibit packet. It's number 8. It's all commingled into some massive mountainous amount of paperwork, but I cut it so we can read it. You're going to hear this in the hearing, but I want to foreshadow what you're going to hear, and I want to read it. Officer Jay Vazquez is a quick learner and is able to understand my direction. I explained to him the above mentioned advisements, and he stated that he understands what they are now. After completion of the blood draw process at TMH, I made sure to explain each step we took. Officer Jay Vazquez stated he understood. This is Officer Vazquez's training officer wrote in this thing called a daily observation report. The training program, the mentorship program, mandates the field training officer to document every arrest. That way, the chain of command, the sergeants, the lieutenants, they see the progress of the officer. And this is at the end of this horrible, callous person committing this severe misconduct. This is what his field training officer wrote. And I'm going to continue. I sat down with Officer Jay Vazquez and explained the DMV admin per se form and walked him through the form line by line. Further, I showed him how to look up 9T12's DUI arrest and see how he completes the required forms. Then former DUI Officer Crisfield sat down with Officer Jay Vazquez, explained to him the DMV paperwork and hearing process in depth. Officer Crisfield also showed him a DUI 11550 folder that he created on the server, which shows him to fill out the paperwork. This is a learning process for a brand new officer that Officer Vazquez knew. This incident was never on the police department's radar because the sergeant and the chain of command passed Officer Vazquez through field training. You're going to hear evidence of that incident. The next incident is the May 18, 2022 incident. There was a traffic stop that occurred, and Officer Vazquez and his partner stopped a suspect. He was also on training, by the way. This is his almost to the end of his field training program, and he's with a training officer. He's the training officer ultimately promoted to be a sergeant, but they stop a guy for a suspicion of breaking a vehicle code violation, and they arrested him. Ultimately, again, the police department passed Officer Vazquez from this phase of the field training program and moved him to be a solo operating officer. There was some issues with the search, but as all of you will hear in this hearing, people just make mistakes sometimes, okay? People make mistakes on search and seizures. There will be officers, sergeants, lieutenants, and I suppose if the chief is being honest with you, he will tell you sometimes people make it stop, they make bad searches, and the case doesn't get filed. That sometimes happens. There's no malicious, there's no callous, there's no severe misconduct. That sometimes just happens. Nevertheless, Officer Sid, my client's training officer, wrote a very detailed summary of that incident. It reads, Officer Vazquez is always proactive and seeks out good stops. On this specific incident, he observed a northbound western with obvious CVC, which is California Vehicle Code violations, and conducted a traffic stop on the vehicle for the same. Officer Vazquez contacted the driver and eventually asked him to exit the vehicle to further investigate. Vazquez safely detained the subject and conducted his investigation, even though the suspect was argumentative and did not cooperate with Officer Vazquez's investigation. Vazquez located narcotics, paraphernalia, and possible stolen credit card. The subject was issued a citation for the above listed violations. Later, I reviewed Vazquez's report and found to be well written. Once again, Vazquez demonstrated the ability to conduct investigations without any assistance from his FTO. FTO means field training officer. There's no callous, there's no severe misconduct, nothing. There's nothing that you're going to hear in this hearing before you. Any evidence that's submitted that's part of the termination, that's going to signify that my client was callous or he somehow reckless disregarded the law. Next incident. This is the one that counsel had made reference to about not mentioning the tinted windows. I don't know if you recall from a few minutes ago, counsel for the police department was proffering what you're going to hear in this case about some window tint. This is a case where my client, his partner, my client's off training. He's working with another partner named Jeffrey Clark, and they pull over a car in a dark area. And what they did was they saw the suspect had tinted windows before they stopped the car. So they see the car 2 or 3 blocks away, thinking this car is going to commit a crime. They sit on the car, and then when the car is about to leave, the car sees the officer and rolled the window down. But my client and his partner did not mention that they saw the tinted windows 2 or 3 minutes before. Okay? Now, Officer Clark was also interviewed. Officer Clark said, hey, I just forgot to mention that there was tinted windows before, but I saw it. It was tinted windows. And also he has no plates. That's why we stopped him. And what you're going to hear in this case is at some point in time, the officers who had stopped Mr. Hernandez in this motion to suppress, none of them was granted. The motion to suppress, contrary to what counsel was saying, was not granted in this case. And this happened in 2022. And the judge, I'm not going to read everything he says, but the judge, the first line what the judge wrote was, the motion to dismiss is respectfully denied. That's what the judge said. This is a transcript you're going to see in this hearing that we're going to ask the witnesses, which is so severe and so callous as counsel stated. The judge did not grant the motion to suppress. Next incident. There was no discipline. So whatever counsel has told you about each incident standing by itself was going to justify the termination. This case, no discipline. Next incident. This is the one that about the windpipe, about this George Floyd takedown. I'll tell you what this case was about. Mr. Garcia was stopped by Torrance police officers because numerous callers at the mall thought this guy was breaking into cars. My client responded to assist in this call, and they did a high-risk traffic stop. I'm going to show you the video because this is the case. It's kind of the main course in this entire hearing, I think. This is the case that I think that's going to we're going to spend a lot of time on. But what you're going to hear and see in this case is that these officers effectuate a high-risk stop. It's not the officers walking up to the motorists, hey, how you doing? I stopped you for running a red light. This is a high-risk stop because these officers, they don't know if the suspect who just committed a burglary has weapons. They may pose a danger to the police officer. So they do a high-risk stop, meaning they're going to hide behind, not hide, but conceal behind their vehicles with their guns drawn. And they're going to order the occupant of the car to get extracted. That's what a high-risk stop is. You're going to see the video in a bit. This Mr. Garcia gentleman kicked and fought police officers. So much so that the moment my client pushed Mr. Garcia in his neck area, it was because my client felt a kick in his groin, between his legs. That prompted Officer Vazquez, the evidence will show, to react instinctively and get Mr. Garcia out of it. And if you want to follow the law, this incident happened in July of 2023, July 28, 2023. By law, by virtue of his rights as a police officer that he's afforded to, the statute of limitation should have closed and ran on July 28, 2024. There's no unavailability issues. There's no family leave. There's no sergeant going on vacations. None of that, okay? And Sergeant Smith was actually on scene. And Brianne, okay. All right.
So I see it. Maybe please take a quick recess.
We're off the record for a few minutes so we resolve our technical difficulties.
Thank you. So I see the screen going dark when I click.
Okay. I think they're taking turns blinking. I'm spending some time here on this Mr. Garcia incident because I think that is the incident that is at issue. It's the nucleus, it's the main course. But the main course started on July 28, 2023. The main course should have been served before July 28, 2024. But instead, my client was served with this proposed discipline on August 13th, 2024. In other words, it missed the statute by my calculations, 15 days. How do we know the supervisor knew? Sergeant Schmitz, who was on scene, wrote a report concerning this and indicated that my client, the last line of this report said that the last line says also Mr. Garcia used his legs to push against Officer Vazquez's groin, which in turn caused Officer Vazquez to push Mr. Garcia's neck momentarily. That is what transpired. You'll see a video of that. The video, I just want to warn you, is very graphic in some sense. There's a lot of explicit words and profanity used, mostly not on behalf of the officers, but Mr. Garcia. So I'll play the video. I'm sorry. I'm gonna skip some of this and then play the video first, and I'll come back to the use of force expert.
Everyone in the car, get your hands up. Get your hands, don't look at me. Don't look at me. Keep your hands out the window. Driver, put your hands out the window. Out the window. Take off your seatbelt with your left hand and put your hands back out. Take off your seatbelt. Don't move. We'll just wait for arresting before bringing him out.
Okay, so I'm on the motor window, but we have sufficient units for the spots. Yes.
Got it arrested? No. Just listen to my instructions. I'll tell you in a second. Right now, your job is to follow my instructions so no one gets hurt, okay? Just follow my instructions. Look away. You haven't arrested? Hey, go ahead and open the car door from the outside. Keep the car door open. Keep those hands up. Step out of the car, face away from me. Keep those hands up. Step out of the car, face away from me. Put your hands on your head. Hands on your head. Take 2 steps to your left, face away from us. Okay, face that street sign, dude. Follow my instructions. Alright, walk back to the sound of our voice. Walk back towards me. Walk backwards. Walk backwards. Come on, step. Keep coming. Step. Step to your right. Step to your right. Step to your right. Keep going. Keep going. Step to your right. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Step. Step backwards. Keep coming. Stop. Get on your knees. Get on your knees. You want to go get it? Yeah. Thanks, there. Pop the trunk from that side, sir. Trunk's good. My thumb, please. Oh. on, bro. Alright, bud. Are you able to stand up or you need an ambulance? Yeah, put me in. Ready? Now are you hurt? Yes, I'm on. What y'all searching me for? Why y'all searching me? What is he playing me down for? This guy, bitch ass niggas. You niggas is bitching. My mom telling you niggas is bitching. Oh, get the fuck out of me, nigga. What the fuck is wrong with y'all niggas, yo? Nigga, get the fuck out. Ain't straight open, nigga. Let me go, bro. What's wrong with y'all niggas, bro? Get your hand off my fucking ass, nigga. What ass niggas? 3 to 4 y'all. Bitch ass niggas. What did I do? What's going on? What's going on? Can y'all tell me what's going on? Can y'all tell me what's going on? Can y'all tell me what the fuck going on? Bro, what the fuck is bringing y'all niggas on me? Over, nigga. What the fuck? Nigga, fuck off. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Don't do away again, okay? Why y'all pulling me over and taking me on my car? That's wrong. I'm like a suspect? Actually, you didn't give it a description of a suspect. Four or five of y'all.
So this is the body-worn camera by Officer Vazquez. What the evidence will not show, in this case is that Mr. Garcia was profiled by his race or by his car, by the manner he's dressed. Mr. Garcia matched the exact description of a vehicular burglary that happened at the mall, which, as you will hear in this case, in the hearings, is very rampant at the Torrance Mall. And he was actually prosecuted for that exact same crime. The ensuing use of force happens inside the car. So what I'll do is I'll show you some still frames first. I'll show you the video. And then what I'll do is walk you through some of the investigation with the Torrance Police Department's own use of force expert on this case. I don't know if you can see the timestamp on it, but it is at the it's military time. So this is the first frame in which Mr. Garcia was in the back seat. So he's a suspect, not a subject. He's a suspect in a vehicular burglary case. He just has been resistant with the officers. As you're going to hear in this case through my client's statement to Internal Affairs, and I suspect his own testimony here before you, is that at this moment in time or very shortly thereafter, he's gonna feel a pain in his groin, between his legs. And obviously we're here in a very comfortable environment to be able to dissect it second by second. The evidence in this case will show that police officers don't have that luxury. They're involved in a rapidly evolving situation where they have to make split-second decisions, and they don't have the luxury of time that we have to slow it down, to critique, what would you do? Officer Vazquez had less than a second, because the next frame you're gonna see is that he's Mr. Garcia has now raised his left leg, his right leg underneath, and he's actively fighting, resisting Officer Vazquez. And the next frame you'll see is this chokehold or the trachea or the windpipe. At the use of force expert you're going to hear from this own police department says, we don't teach this, but this is reasonable. That's Sergeant Arlen Wells. Arlen Wells will come to testify. I don't even think my opposing counsel will call him. We're gonna call Sergeant Wells and we're gonna have him come here. And I expect, I haven't spoken to Sergeant Wells, I expect he's gonna come here and tell you, correct, we don't teach this maneuver, but we also don't get training where officers get kicked in the groin. We don't train for that scenario. We don't kick people in the groin and see what their reaction is. I believe Officer Sergeant Wells would proffer that testimony. This is 1 second. The next second, Officer Vazquez pushes Mr. Garcia back, and the following second, it's released. There's no George Floyd, there's no cutting the airway. At no time, the evidence will show at no point in time did Mr. Garcia lose consciousness or any kind of injury that would be consistent when someone's windpipe or trachea is being pushed down. At no time was Mr. Garcia under that duress. And this is the backseat video. What you're also going to hear, I suspect, in this hearing throughout the next few nights is that you see the officer on the left side of the car, but on the right side of the screen, he's got the 2 chevrons on. That's Officer David Wolf. I suspect witnesses will testify that if Officer Wolf thought this is an excessive force, he would have a duty to intervene. In other words, physically stop Officer Vazquez. And I believe the evidence will show in this hearing that no such observation was made. In other words, you have Officer Vazquez on scene believing what he believed to be a kick to the groin. Officer Wolf is right next to Officer Vazquez, observing all the actions, and Officer Wolf does not intervene. He was never disciplined, he was interviewed, and no discipline was issued to Officer Wolf. I want to go back a little bit to the actual report that Sergeant Wells was interviewed. And I'm not going to read the entirety of it. I want to just give you a very brief overview because you're going to hear Sergeant Wells come here to testify before this body. But Sergeant Wells says, was asked by Sergeant Krombach. Sergeant Krombach asked whether this, and I'll read the question because I think it's very key. The third portion of this regarding this force use was Officer Vazquez's response following his allegation of a knee or a foot from Mr. Garcia causing pressure to his groin or lower abdomen. Was Officer Vazquez's use of either chokehold or pressure around Mr. Garcia's neck, was that reasonable or not in your opinion? Right. So that's really kind of the gist of what happened in this case. And Sergeant Wells says, I believe it was reasonable. I believe it was reasonable. He provides a much more thorough interview to Sergeant Kronbach, but he is the department's use of force, the subject matter expert, the end-all be-all for Torrance PD. And he believed it was reasonable. How do we know that there's a statute of limitations issue here? This is what we call the audit trail. And you're going to hear some evidence about it. And the evidence, I believe, what you're going to learn is when an officer or supervisor, when they access the body-worn camera system, it gives you a metadata. It gives you the login information, who it was, and what time it was logged in, or they watched the video. And the video at issue here, well, we believe, was Sergeant Schmidt. He was a sergeant on scene, and he wrote a report, and he accessed the video on July 28, 2023. So we believe, as we'll submit to you later on, that the statute of limitation began on that day, not any time later. And you're going to see this in evidence because we're going to ask the internal affairs investigators to verify whether this is a Torrance Police Department body-worn camera audit trail. I suspect they're not going to deny that. I suspect either Sergeant or now Lieutenant Misulkus or now Lieutenant Kronbach would say, Sergeant Schmidt does work for us. This appears to be an authentic body-worn camera audit trail. In other words, I suspect the evidence will show that they would not dispute this came from Sergeant Schmidt's audit and that the department knew about this incident on July 28, 2023. In fact, to kind of add more on top of our statute of limitations issue, the last paragraph Sergeant Schmidt wrote was that Officer Vazquez advised me while attempting to place Garcia into the police vehicle, he had turned towards him, causing Officer Vazquez to use his body weight to push Garcia into the car. During this time, Garcia used his legs to push against Officer Vazquez's groin, causing Officer Vazquez to momentarily push Garcia away on his neck. That is what Sergeant Schmidt wrote on the date of the incident. The next case, we're almost done here, is a case, and I'm not sure if you remember what counsel has told you, that my client failed to document a field interview card. There was another education reminder. One of the last cases you're going to hear about this severe or gross or callousness of my client was a vehicle that that Officer Vazquez pulled over at the mall. There were bullet holes in the car. You're going to see the body-worn camera, and Officer Vazquez stops his car. Thank you. I have 5 minutes left, but I'll be done about 2.5, hopefully. But Officer Vazquez pulls over the car, and the suspect made a lot of furtive movements. Officer Vazquez then goes to conduct a pat-down. Not a real pat-down, but they look a limited scope search of the car for weapons because he sees the occupant of the car real nervous, and he sees a bullet hole. Bullet hole meaning somebody had to shoot into that car. So Officer Vazquez at the time believed, hey, this guy may be armed. And it turns out Officer Vazquez is right because he finds a pistol and with some gloves and a hoodie. The prosecutors declined to file charges. And one of the things that you're going to hear is that when a prosecutor evaluates charges, they have to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. Sometimes a prosecutor just do not want to file charges for various reasons. Maybe they don't like the stop. Maybe the fact that the report wasn't very clear, but it does not always mean the constitutional violation occurred. You're going to hear from numerous officers, I believe, that sometimes officers, they'll conduct a pat down or they'll arrest somebody and the DA doesn't file charges. That happens every day at the Torrance PD and everywhere in LA. In every county in the state, prosecutor declines to file charges. We hear that all the time. But that doesn't mean that in itself means Julian would get fired. I think the evidence will show that sometimes people just disagree with search and seizure laws. There's an education reminder for another case and another written reprimand. So none of those other cases, when you hear this in this hearing, would standalone cause him to get fired, contrary to what my opposing counsel said, because I've just pointed to you 4 different cases where my client did not get fired. He got an education reminder, written reprimand. What we like to do is at the end of this, and I know this is going to be an endeavor to get through all the evidence. There's a lot of it. We thank you in advance. We think you're the last line of defense. You standing between the officers and the police department. And you stand with a brand new discretion to hear evidence. And we're very happy that you're here. We're very grateful that all of you are taking the time away from your families to hear our case. We believe the only entity and the individuals violate the public trust are unfortunately the Torrance Police Department. And at the end of this case, I'll be coming up to you and asking you to respectfully overturn my client's termination. Thank you for your time and attention.
Mr. Governor, are you ready to call your first witness?
Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
The department calls Lieutenant Jason Misulkus.
Thank you. I will now swear in the witness. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matter now pending before the Civil Service Commission? So help you.
I do.
Thank you. A certified court reporter is taking a verbatim record of the proceedings. This is a gentle reminder to everyone to please pause between someone talking before you start talking. If 2 people speak at the same time, it can be difficult to differentiate what each person is saying. It is important to have a clean and accurate record, so please keep this in mind during the meeting. If we notice that people are speaking at the same time, myself, staff, or legal counsel for the commission may interject to ensure a clean and accurate record. Mr. Gruther, you may begin your direct examination of this witness. Following this, Mr. You may begin your cross-examination. Redirect and recross will then be allowed, followed by commissioner questions. Mr. Gruther, you may now begin.
Lieutenant Misulkus, will you state and spell your name for the record, please?
Jason Misulkus, Jason Masalcas.
And, are you currently employed?
Yes,
And where do you work?
I'm currently employed as a lieutenant for the patrol division for the Torrance Police Department.
And how long have you held that assignment?
Approximately 4 or 5 months. I was recently promoted about a month ago.
And can you briefly describe your assignments with the department prior to that?
Yes, relevant to this matter,
Prior to promoting to lieutenant, I was assigned as an internal affairs investigator for the Professional Standards Division. And I worked in that position for approximately 2.5 years. And my role in that position was to investigate potential misconduct, allegations of administrative violations within our personnel at our department.
And how long have you been employed by the city?
I've been employed with the Torrance Police Department for a little over 22 years.
And during your time in internal affairs, how many investigations would you say you conducted during that time?
I would estimate over 40.
And are you aware of Officer Julian Vazquez?
Yes.
And how are you aware of him?
He was employed with the Torrance Police Department as a patrol officer. And during his tenure as a police officer, I did have some cases that were assigned to me in internal affairs related to him.
Did you ever directly supervise him?
I don't believe so, but it is possible I worked an overtime shift and maybe I did, but I don't recall at this time.
Did you ever serve as a field training officer for him?
No.
Are you aware of the Torrance Police Department's policy manual?
Yes.
And as a police officer for the department, are you required to be familiar with its contents?
Yes.
And are you required to comply with all policies therein?
Yes.
And are all officers required to do so?
Yes.
And how do you know that?
Well, upon becoming an employee, you're mandated to review all the policies, sign off that you've read and understand them. And periodically, as policies change or case laws are presented, we are updated with department notices regarding those changes, and we are mandated to know and understand them and to follow them.
And are you required to acknowledge receipt of policy manual updates as they occur?
Yes.
And how is that notice sent to you?
Through a Lexapol app, and it's an application on our department cell phones notifying us that we need to review and sign off that we have reviewed the updated policy.
And I believe you mentioned that you had conducted some personnel investigations relating to Officer Vazquez, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And how many investigations did you conduct?
Related to this hearing today, I had 3, 2 of which were external and 1 of which was an internally derived misconduct case.
Objection, witness is reading from notes. Not personal knowledge. The witness is reading in some document from notes when he was answering the question.
There's 2 case books here, but
I'm sorry, I thought he was reading from something.
I'm looking for the record, I'm looking at the exhibits, they're completely closed, it's just a front cover.
I apologize.
And did you assist on any other personnel investigations?
Involving Officer Vazquez.
I don't recall.
Take a break, recess for a second.
Yes, maybe we can take a recess and go off the record. We just need that back in front.
More off the record.
We have been accessible, if you would like to let me know what you want.
It's page 2. It's Exhibit 9, P 2023-044 with corrections.
And I just, before we go back on record, because when the list. Then just go back on the record, Mr. Drucker, if you please state into the record what exhibit we are doing.
Mr. Gruther?
Lieutenant Misulkus, I'm showing you what's been marked as part of Exhibit Exhibit 8, that's right, yeah, Exhibit 9. Thank you. What's been marked as part of Exhibit 9, P 2023-044. Do you recognize this document or that portion of it?
Yes.
And do you recall that case number?
Yes. P 2023-044.
And what does that case number represent?
An internal affairs investigation that I completed.
And were you assigned to investigate this matter?
Yes.
And do you recall approximately when this investigation began?
I don't recall.
We would scroll up to. And do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And does that refresh your recollection as to when you were assigned to investigate?
Yes.
And when were you assigned to investigate the matter?
It appears November 7th of 2023.
And what was the nature of this investigation?
This was an external complaint that came in through the chief's office regarding a traffic stop that was conducted by Officer Julian Vazquez, and the person that was stopped made a misconduct claim.
And was a personnel complaint issued?
Yes.
And if we could go to page 27. And if we could scroll down through that for the witness. Bottom of page 27. And Lieutenant Misulkus, is this that personnel complaint?
Yes.
And what were the complaints made by what were the external complaints made?
The complainant alleged misconduct in the form of identity profiling, bias profiling, rudeness, and I believe other, based on my recall at this time.
And what steps did you take in your investigation?
I reviewed the complaint. I reviewed all materials and documents that were related to this incident. I reviewed body-worn and in-dash car camera footage. I interviewed a witness. I interviewed Subject Officer Julian Vazquez and reviewed policies and applicable case law.
And in this investigation, were there any discovered allegations?
Yes.
And what were those?
It was a discovered allegation based on report documentation that a field interview was not completed in a supplemental report or in our Spillman database. Spillman database?
And what is a field interview card?
Field interview card is reserved for police officers who stop individuals in the fields who are criminals, who are gang members, who are members of motorcycle gangs, and people who are, that we want to document their presence and what they're doing, what they're wearing, things of that nature, so that we can possibly tie them to other crimes in the future and kind of timestamp what happened in this particular incident.
And what is Spillman?
Spillman is a database that we use at the Torrance Police Department for documenting all reports, all criminal reports and investigations.
And did the investigation reveal anything about the field interview card?
Yes.
And what did it reveal?
That I was unable to locate any existence of a field interview card or field interview supplemental reports in our databases.
And in this matter, did you prepare a formal investigative report?
Yes.
And if we could scroll up to page 26. And if we scroll to the middle of that page. Lieutenant Misulkus, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And are you familiar with this report?
Yes.
And is this the report that you prepared in this matter?
It is.
And did you attach anything to this report?
Not that I recall.
Does your investigative file contain anything else in it? Anything else in it?
Not that wasn't, not that I'm aware of.
Does it contain a copy of the personnel complaint?
Yes.
And does it contain any transcripts of witness interviews?
Yes.
And and then were your findings signed off on by a supervisor in this case?
I believe so.
And with that, we would offer this portion of Exhibit 9 into evidence.
No objection.
Just for the record, Council, you move in the entirety of Exhibit 9 or just the pages with you?
I would like to move the entirety of Exhibit 9.
No objection.
And now I'd like to show the witness Exhibit 10, P 2023-046.
What page is this exhibit would you like to see?
We'll start with page 1. Lieutenant Misulkus, did you conduct an investigation entitled P 2023-046?
I did.
And do you recall what the subject of this investigation was?
Yes.
And what was that?
It was an external complaint that was derived from a person that was stopped on a traffic stop by Officer Julian Vazquez.
And did she submit a personnel complaint?
She did.
And could we go to pages 27 and 28? I could scroll through those for the witness. And is this the complaint?
Yes.
And what were her complaints in this investigation?
She alleged excessive force, dishonesty, and I don't remember what the other potential policy violations were.
We could go back to page 27. Right there. Does that refresh your recollection of her complaints?
Yes.
And what were her complaints?
In addition, she suggested that Officer Julian Vazquez was rude and unprofessional.
And what steps did you take in this investigation?
I reviewed the complaint. I reviewed any and all documents related to this incident. I reviewed body worn and in-car camera footage that was available. I interviewed witnesses. I interviewed Officer Julian Vazquez.
And did you make any factual findings in this investigation?
Yes.
And what were those?
In terms of my conclusion,
Yes.
I concluded that there was no significant evidence to substantiate the complainant's claims of excessive force, dishonesty, and/or rudeness.
Did you make any conclusions about the request for a supervisor?
Yes.
And what were those?
That during the course of the stop, the complainant requested to speak to a supervisor approximately 7 times. And that although there's no specific policy that requires our officers to immediately send a supervisor to the location, that Officer Julian Vazquez did fulfill his obligation of notifying the complainant on how to file a complaint and directed her to the Torrance Police Department. Additionally, in my opinion, based on the number of times, I felt that although there was no particular policy violation or law requiring him to do so, that if it had been done, that a supervisor could have had that opportunity to address some of these issues right then.
And did the investigation reveal if Officer Vazquez used profanity during the stop?
Yes.
And were there any other discovered allegations in this investigation?
Yes.
And what were those?
It was related to report writing and documentation related to handcuffing and release procedures.
And what did the investigation reveal about that?
That Officer Julian Vazquez did use profanity based on the available evidence, and also that related to the handcuffing, that the proper procedure according to policy was not followed.
And what was that proper procedure?
To write a report or update CAD comments related to a handcuffing and release that would identify why the person was handcuffed. It would require him to notify a supervisor and detail some of the circumstances related to the handcuff.
And did you prepare a formal investigative report for this investigation?
Yes.
And if we look at page 26. And are you familiar with this report?
Yes.
And would you like to look through any of it? Because I want to know, is this a report a true and accurate account of your findings in the investigation?
Yes, to the best of my knowledge, it is.
And then did you include the evidence, recordings, and any other information reviewed?
Yes.
And would that include a body-worn camera?
Yes.
And were your findings signed off on by a supervisor?
I believe so.
Can we put Exhibit 8 on the board, on the screen, as a title of a bunch of numbers, 2024-0829-101309. Sorry. 2024-0829-101309.
It's a 3-page document?
Yes. Lieutenant Misulkus, were you assigned to conduct PD 2023-010?
Yes.
And what was the source of that investigation?
That was an internally derived internal affairs investigation that was authored by my lieutenant at the time, Lieutenant Chance, and the information originated from a deputy city attorney.
And was a personnel complaint issued?
Yes.
And if we could scroll through this one shortly. And is this that personnel complaint?
It is.
And did the deputy city attorney submit an additional complaint?
Yes.
And if we go to page 3. Is that the additional complaint?
Yes.
Just to go slightly backwards, what was the nature of the initial complaint?
The initial complaint alleged dishonesty, violations of policy, and other related to 3 separate arrests that Officer Julian Vazquez was a part of.
And if we could go back to page 2 in the bottom half. Or sorry, page 1, bottom half, page 1. And are these those initial complaints?
Yes.
And what was the nature of the, or sorry, strike that. What steps did you take in your investigation?
Well, on each of these, I reviewed the complaint. I reviewed any and all evidence that was attached or a part of it. In some of them, I reviewed audio transcripts related to motions to suppress hearings. I interviewed witnesses. I interviewed subject Officer Julian Vazquez. I reviewed body-worn camera and available in-car camera footage.
Okay. And you mentioned that there were, in the initial complaint, there were 3 arrests?
Correct.
And then was there an additional arrest at issue in the additional complaint?
Yes.
So for the first of the initial complaint, what was the allegation there?
The allegation was dishonesty and violation of policy.
And what was the factual circumstances for that allegation?
That was a DUI arrest. And ultimately, the city attorney was part of a motion to suppress, during which time it was revealed that the admonition that was given to the DUI suspect at the time was potentially coercive. And there were some statements made during that admonishment by Officer Julian Vazquez that were potentially inaccurate.
Did the investigation reveal who provided the suspect the initial advisement?
I don't recall who completed the initial advisement, but I do believe to some extent or another, both Officer Julian Vazquez and his training officer, Officer McGee, provided some form of trombetta advisement.
And what is a trombetta advisement?
It's essentially a due process advisement, part of DUI arrests that officers are mandated to explain to an arrestee that they have the opportunity to blood, breath, or urine, and the potential benefits of providing blood as evidence.
And did the investigation reveal anything about Officer Vazquez's advisement in this case?
Yes.
And what was that?
Well, in his advisement to the arrestee at the scene on body-worn camera, excuse me, he can be heard essentially making statements to him that were potentially inaccurate in terms of what the potential fines would be, whether he would get his license suspended or not. And those came up in court as part of the motion to suppress hearing and were potentially problematic for the prosecution of that case.
And was there any video of the incident?
Yes.
And what was the source of that video?
There was in-car camera footage as well as body-worn camera footage from multiple officers.
And was there any body-worn camera footage from Officer Vazquez?
Yes.
If we could go into Exhibit 8, into the BWC videos.
And there's 4 folders.
Yes. And that's the 2200 4216 DUI, and then the Officer Vazquez video.
We're gonna stipulate that the board doesn't need to take down the transcript from the video.
So stipulated. We could also pause it a second. You can start it at 14 minutes in.
I currently have it at 13:54. That's agreeable.
Go to the hospital and they take your blood out, they take your blood out and they have samples to test it. Or you just go to where we're going anyway, to the station, you go into a machine, and then it's the same thing. It's the same just to test your alcohol level in your blood. You know what I'm saying? So that's up to you. And either way, you have to require to submit to one for the wall. Okay, so which one would you like to do? So you can get your stuff all. Okay, listen to me. You can't refuse. It's against the law to refuse. When you sign your DMV, you gave up the right to refuse it. So if you say you refuse it, you don't do it, what we're going to do is we're going to get a warrant. You're still going to draw your blood, and then we're going to submit that on the report, and then you're never going to have a driver's license again, pretty much. Okay, and then you're going to have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars in fines. If you don't, you have to do what I recommend to help your case, because I'm not here to ruin your life and your financial status. You get me? So I'm trying to kind of help you here. You are required to submit to one. So what my recommendation is submit to
to the test. So I can write a report. He submitted without refusing per the law, and then whichever you decide, I can breathalyze you at the station, book you, you get a ticket, and then you won't get your driver's license suspended, and you won't have to pay a bunch of fines. You know what I'm saying? Alright. So, you want to go to the station for breathalyzer? Okay. So here's, all I'm saying is, I don't know, that's what I want to help. I want you to, and get your driver's license suspended for years, right? So, since you want the breathalyzer, I'll say what's gonna happen. Yeah. That's why we're here. Right now you're making the right decision, right? So, from what you told me, what you requested right now, I'm going to help you out, we'll get you in the car, we'll take you to the station, we'll do the breathalyzer, we'll book you into the jail, which is just some forms we gotta do, and then, listen, let me finish, and then what we'll do is we'll get you to the jailers, we'll make sure you're good, you're good, and then we're gonna, they'll probably issue you some kind of citation, court date, and you will be released so you can go to court in a long day. You know what?
Now, can we skip ahead to 20 minutes and 20 seconds?
For the record, where are we stopping?
It was at 17:17, I believe. We are now at 20 minutes and 12 seconds.
Also, I just want to let you know that you understood because you refused that first. I just wanted to let you know that going by this meeting to the breathalyzer when we're taking the station because I don't want to have any problems with you. It's a good idea to avoid, $15,000 to $20,000 worth of fines and your license being suspended for like months, probably years, right? And then also, this is a route where we can actually get you out in a few hours instead of today, or something like that, okay? Let me quick, honestly.
Stop.
20:57.
And did you review that body cam footage as part of your investigation?
I did.
And did you review any court transcripts in this case, or investigation?
Yes.
And what were the court transcripts related to?
A motion to suppress hearing.
And did Officer Vazquez testify in that hearing?
Yes.
And did reviewing the transcript of that hearing affect your investigation?
Can they can bigger?
I'm waiting for you to ask. If you ask, I will.
Yeah, go help on this one.
Sure, I would recommend that objection is sustained.
I'll rephrase. Did reviewing the transcript of Officer Vazquez's testimony have any impact on your findings in this investigation?
Yes.
And what did you find in reading Officer Vazquez's transcript?
Well, in the transcript, the defense attorney asked him a specific question regarding whether or not his client, whether or not Officer Julian Vazquez made a statement about whether or not his client would lose his license and get his license suspended or not. And ultimately, that statement was potentially inaccurate because if the client did participate in providing evidence blood threat, and that level of blood alcohol content was over 0.8, then therefore the potential for him to lose his license would be there anyways.
And Officer Vazquez admitted that he knew that to be true?
Can they get time?
I'll rephrase. And Officer Vazquez admitted that there could be license consequences for a breathalyzer test over 0.8.
Same infection, they get the time.
I'm sorry, are you trying to figure out when he asked the question?
Yeah, I mean, counsel's not stating when Officer Vazquez made that statement at the interview or at the scene of the DUI crash.
Can you clarify?
Did the investigation reveal anything of what Officer Vazquez testified to at the scene of the crash?
Yes.
And Officer Vazquez referred to license consequences, or did he refer to any license consequences in the contact with the suspect?
Yes.
And during the motion to suppress hearing, did Officer Vazquez testify about license consequences?
Yes.
And did he testify that he knew there would be license consequences even if a breathalyzer test was given?
I don't recall.
Lieutenant Misulkus, could you go to Exhibit 21 there in the book?
There's two books.
The large one.
And I'm sorry, the numbers here?
Exhibit 21. And do you recognize that document?
Yes.
Okay. And what is that document?
This is a transcript of the motion to suppress hearing. Let's see, is that better? Okay. It was a transcript of the motion to suppress hearing on the DUI arrest related to that investigation.
And if I could direct you to page 40? 40?
40.
And if I can direct you to line 24. And in there, it's from Aaron Wine, Ernenwein, but you told him that he wouldn't get his license suspended, correct? Vazquez, yes. Aaron Wine, and you knew that not to be not true, correct? Vazquez, I knew there to be consequences. Aaron Wine, thank you, including suspension. Vazquez, yes. So, Lieutenant Misulkus, did reading that portion of the transcript impact your findings in this case in any way? Yes. And how did it do so?
Just in terms of the admonishment that Officer Julian Vazquez provided to Mr. Yusuf.
Now, there were multiple allegations by this Deputy City Attorney Brazak, correct?
Yes.
And were there any allegations related to continuing search after consent was withdrawn?
Not on the DUI case, but on the second investigation, yes.
So there was an additional part of your PD 2023-010 investigation?
Yes.
And one of those allegations was continuing to search after consent was withdrawn?
Yes.
And what did your investigation reveal about the circumstances of that arrest?
I don't. Is that me?
Is it possible, Lieutenant, that your radio could be?
It's off.
Okay.
I do have a cell phone on me, but it's off.
Typically, the cell phones haven't been an issue. We'll
Okay.
continue on.
I can speak louder and stand back further.
With respect to consent being withdrawn, what was the allegation in that respect?
So the allegation in that case was that Officer Julian Vazquez made a traffic stop with his training officer. During the traffic stop, Officer Vazquez asked the defendant for consent to search. He initially provided consent to search. During the search, the defendant revoked that consent, which was relayed to Officer Vazquez by his training officer. On video, you could see that he acknowledged it and then continued to search for a short amount of time.
Now, if we could go to Exhibit 8, stand there, back to the BWC videos folder, to the narco arrest with CID.
There are 3 videos in the
And it would be the second one, 5. It has the case number and then the end is 25021 Julian Vazquez.
Before we play, can we stipulate from the pardons that the court doesn't have to take down what is being taken?
Yes.
I think we already did
I didn't hear it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can stipulate to that for all videos played.
Perfect, thank you.
And you can just play that one from the beginning.
What's that? It's not, okay.
at 1 minute and 10 seconds.
Did the investigation show that Officer Vazquez acknowledged hearing that consent was withdrawn?
Yes.
And did the investigation show that Officer Vazquez continued to search the car despite acknowledging the withdrawn consent?
Yes,
And was Officer Vazquez interviewed as part of the investigation?
he was.
Did he provide a rationale for continuing to search the car?
Yes,
And what was his rationale?
that he had already observed. What he believed to be a baggie of crystal meth on the floorboard of the driver's side vehicle. And therefore, he had probable cause at that time to continue his search.
And then for the complaint, there was a third allegation against Officer Vazquez. Is that right?
Yes.
And what was the third allegation in this investigation?
The third allegation was related to a traffic stop where Officer Julian Vazquez and his partner made a traffic stop for two vehicle code violations. During that traffic stop, they developed probable cause to search and obtained a firearm in the vehicle.
And was there any video of this incident?
There was.
And were you able to take any photos from the video?
I don't believe I did, but I believe that there were, actually, let me take that back, I don't recall.
Did you review any screenshots or photos from the video as part of your investigation?
I may have, but I know I reviewed all the in-dash camera footage and body marks.
Mr. Grother, how much longer do you have with this? Maybe it's time to take a break?
Yeah, probably 15 minutes, but yeah, we want to take a break then.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Give the court reporter and all of us a 10-minute break. Thank you.
Did you review any body-worn camera in that investigation?
I did.
In your position as an investigator, are you able to take screenshots or photos from video that you review?
Yep.
And is there any record of, well, let me just show you, in Exhibit 8, there's a picture called Capture, entitled capture.jpg. Can we put that? Yeah, capture.jpg. And do you recognize this picture?
I recognize my signature on it. Yeah.
And that email address?
Yeah.
And what does that signify?
That indicates that I created a snapshot based on either in-dash camera or body-worn camera footage.
And if we, if you can see the vehicle there, can you see the passenger, or sorry, the driver's side window in that photograph? Oh, above that.
Yes.
And the allegation was that Officer Vazquez had testified about seeing a window tint?
Correct.
And in fact, the window was rolled down as Officer Vazquez traffic past that car.
Correct.
And did you interview Officer Vazquez in that investigation?
I did.
And did he provide any rationale for that testimony?
Yes.
And what was that?
That despite the fact that he misspoke during the hearing and testified incorrectly as to his recollection of these events, that essentially that he had already seen that vehicle have dark window tint, illegal window tint, and him and his partner knew that it was dark illegal window tint prior to this screenshot that's on the screen now, where they had taken him head on and the window was really down.
We can take that down. Could we put as a great name in Exhibit 8 in case file 220033947?
The one document.
Case, yes, the one case. And if we could go to page 4. And if we could zoom in on the, starting from reporting officers to the first paragraph of details there. And Lieutenant Misulkus, do you recognize this report?
Yes.
And who wrote this report?
Officer Julian Vazquez.
And does it refer to the vehicle tint, window tint?
Yes.
And does it mention anything about the window being rolled down?
Not that I recall.
Does it mention anything about seeing the dark window tint previously?
Not specifically.
In your investigation, did you find any report referring to seeing the window tint prior to making the stop?
No.
And we can take that down. And in the investigation, there was a fourth allegation from the deputy city attorney. Is that right?
Yes.
And do you recall what that last allegation was?
Dishonesty and violation of policy.
And what was the nature of that incident?
That was a traffic stop Officer Julian Vazquez made. The suspect was trying to evade him into the Alamo Fashion Center parking lot. During the traffic stop, he noticed a bullet hole in the vehicle, engaged in a conversation with the subject, and attempted to get consent from him to search the vehicle. He was denied consent from the defendant. Ultimately, Officer Vazquez got the subject out of the vehicle and placed him in handcuffs and set him down on the ground. Officer Vazquez engaged in a vehicle pat-down of the vehicle, which is essentially it's a search of the immediate area of the interior for weapons specifically. And during the course of that, he retrieved a firearm. And the subject was subsequently arrested for firearm charges, narcotics, ammunition, and probable cause robbery.
And during the vehicle pat-down, did the investigation reveal anything about where the suspect was?
I don't recall if that was identified in the report, specifically where the subject was seated in relation to the vehicle.
Were there any other officers present?
Yes.
And when the officer was outside the vehicle, was another officer with the suspect?
Yes.
And was this while Officer Vazquez conducted the vehicle pat-down?
Yes.
And then were there any charges filed against the suspect?
I don't believe so.
Just quickly on exhibit, it would be exhibit 10. I would offer that to be moved into evidence on P 2023-046 if it hasn't been offered.
No objection.
And then I would also offer exhibit 8 in its entirety into evidence as well. PD 2023-010.
No objection.
And then lastly, Lieutenant Misulkus, did you prepare a report in this case? And then, and for PD 2023-010?
I did.
And if we could go to that exhibit 8 in case summary.
Exhibit 8, summary.
There's one document in that. And there's a 40-page document, and Lieutenant Misulkus, do you recognize this?
Yes.
And is this your true and accurate account of your findings in this investigation?
Yes, it is.
And were your findings approved by a supervisor?
I believe so.
And then for the internal affairs investigations that you completed, did you provide your findings to the to internal affairs?
To my internal affairs lieutenant?
Yes.
Yes.
And were you consulted regarding any discipline?
No.
And then, did you assist on any other investigations involving Julian Vazquez?
Like another investigator?
Yes.
I don't recall at this time.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Actually, Ms. Cohen, can you leave that up for me? There's a lot to point out, just stop. Okay? All right, thank you. May I proceed across?
Yes, please.
And Lieutenant Misulkus, what's in front of you is the case summary for the cases that you investigated under PD 2023-010, correct?
Correct.
And Ms. Cohen, if you can kindly roll that up a little bit to perhaps 200% and just focus on the reporting party. It's a little bit down. Okay, the reporting party is Deputy City Attorney Brandon Gonzaga, right?
Yes.
And that's the person that lodged the complaint against my client, right?
He's the person that notified Lieutenant Chance of the allegations.
And he wrote a summary of what he believed the misconduct was, correct?
I'm not unaware of any summary that he authored regarding that.
You never interviewed the Deputy City Attorney at any point in your investigation, correct?
I did interview the Deputy City Attorney.
Did you record that interview?
No.
Okay, so you spoke with the complainant, or I'm sorry, the reporting party in this case, and that was not recorded, correct?
Correct.
And you know, as a thorough, well, can we agree that as an internal affairs sergeant at that time, you are to conduct thorough investigations?
Of course.
Unbiased.
Of course.
You have to follow policy.
Yes.
And this recording with this Deputy City Attorney was not transcribed or digitally recorded, correct?
I don't believe so.
All right. Now, there is an allegation of dishonesty, and I think it's a little bit, it's one of the allegations that was informed to you when my client received a personnel complaint, correct?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
That was a bad question. In any of the policy violations, did you make any findings
that Julian Vazquez was dishonest?
No.
In fact, you yourself had information that my client lied or was dishonest from numerous complaints, correct?
I don't recall previous complaints, what they were, but it is possible.
Well, as you sit here today, or you stand here today before the commission, you knew that one of the allegations set forth in the personnel complaint was dishonest, correct?
Yes.
And you never found Julian Vazquez to be dishonest, correct?
There was no evidence to suggest that he was.
Right. Well, you didn't find any evidence, correct, on the case that you investigated, true?
Correct.
All right. Because if you did, you know, as a supervisor, an internal affairs investigator, you got to report that up the chain of command, correct?
Of course.
And that was never done in this case in any of the allegations, right? I want to kind of just, and you can take that down, Ms. Cohen, for now. Thank you very much. I want to go into your own career a little bit. When you're a brand new officer, I know that was a couple of decades ago, you had to go through a field training officers program, correct?
Correct.
And that is a program where you're a brand new cop and you're paired up with a senior officer, right?
Yes.
Like a mentor. And you had to do that for 6 months, right? Was it 6 months back then?
Longer, 7 to 8.
Okay. But that was a rigid program in which you as a brand new officer are learning how to be a policeman, right?
Yes.
And you had to go through phases. You understand what I'm talking about? Phases of training?
Yes.
Phase 1 to phase 5 or 6, correct? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Phase 1 meaning you're brand new and you know nothing, and the field training officer has to guide you, mentor you, and teach you, correct?
Just to clarify, I don't believe we call it phases here at the Torrance Police Department.
Fair.
Monthly
Okay.
progression of training.
Fair enough. But
If I may, please let the witness answer the question. Please let counsel ask the question, so we're not talking over each other for court. Thank you.
Being on training means that officer is brand new, correct?
Yes.
And as a supervisor, now you're working in patrol, right?
Yes.
You expect trainees to make mistakes. Can we agree on that?
Of course.
I mean, that's where you want to make the mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Because you're on training. You have a mentor next to you, you make the mistakes, you learn, and you move on, right?
Sure.
And part of that process of learning is in the field training officers program, there's this thing called a daily observation report, right?
Yes.
DOR, right?
Correct.
And the DOR is where the training officer documents every day what that trainee has done that day, right?
Something along that lines. Yes.
Right. Whether they did something good or maybe there's some improvements need to be made, correct?
Correct.
So I want to talk about one of the cases that you're asked on direct examination, which is the DUI stop on Mr. Yusuf. Remember that case?
Yes.
Okay. In that case, if you don't remember, I can refresh your recollection. In that case, Julian Vazquez was on training on his 8th week, correct? And his 2nd month.
The second month, correct.
Okay. So as a 2nd month trainee, during your investigation, you know that that was Julian Vazquez's first DUI, correct?
I learned that during the interview.
Well, part of your investigation, correct?
Yes.
You had to review his daily observation report, part of your thorough investigation, true?
Yes.
So you knew, based on your investigation, this was his first time doing a DUI, right?
Yes.
And we saw in the body-worn camera, sir, that his training officer was right next to him while Julian was conducting these advices. You saw that in the body-worn camera videos, correct?
At one point.
Right. Brian McGee, MCGE, was Julian Vazquez's training officer on that DUI stop, correct?
Correct.
And Officer McGee was the one that essentially was responsible for Julian Vazquez's investigation. Agreed?
He was the training officer.
Right. So he was responsible for overseeing what Officer Vazquez did, correct?
Correct.
And were you a training officer at one point during your career and tenure?
Yes.
Okay. And as a training officer, if your trainee is doing something wrong, incorrect, or maybe unlawful, you had to step in to basically take over, right? That's your job.
Yes.
And if you felt like, oh my goodness, this young officer is making this callous mistake or misconduct, you would step in and say, hey, time out, I got a partner, right?
I would intervene.
You would intervene. You had a duty to intervene, right? Correct?
Yes.
When you review the body worn camera of my client and his FTO, field training officer, at no point did Officer McGee intervene, correct?
I want to characterize it as that. I believe he kind of clarified at one point regarding one of the claims about how expensive the fines would be related to the incident.
Correct. But at no point did Officer McGee take over or step in between or intervene on the admonishment that you testified to in the direct examination, correct? Brian McGee did not do that.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, well, you saw the video, right? And it was your investigation, correct?
Not that I recall.
All right. And by the way, did you interview Officer McGee in this case?
No.
You did not interview.
I did not.
That was a thorough investigation where you did not interview his field training officer?
I did not.
Ultimately, Officer Vazquez, he passed field training, did he? He passed that phase, correct?
Yes.
And I want to show you Exhibit 8. Under Exhibit 8, there is a title of a document called DOR, and this will be the, I guess, Ms. Cohen, for your reference, the size is the 916 KB one, if you can pull that up.
I have 2 DORs, one for month 2 and one for month 5.
Month 2 will be the first PDF file. And by the way, sir, you recognize, you certainly reviewed the daily observation report of my client, right?
Yes.
Okay, and I know it's written kind of small, but what's more important is the 3rd page. All right, and, okay, so could you highlight that and blow that up a little bit, Ms. Cohen? If you could, thank you very much. All right. And this DOR, sir, was authored by Brian McGee about my client, Officer Vazquez, correct?
Yes.
All right. Could you highlight, Ms. Cohen, the first paragraph? Okay. Officer Jay Vazquez responded to this area of 235 west of Crenshaw. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. For a solo vehicle TC into a light pole, for a solo vehicle TC into a light pole, Officer Jay Vazquez arrived on scene and was able to properly determine that the driver was DUI. Due to this being Officer Jay Vazquez's first DUI, he was not aware of the 23612 CVC and Trombetta advisements. Therefore, I stepped in and advised the arrestee. Do you see that?
I did.
So, based on this DOR, Officer McGee did step in and advise the arrestee, correct?
According to that DOR.
Right, you didn't know that because you didn't interview this guy, correct?
Well, it wasn't in the report.
Right, but you reviewed this as part of your thorough investigation, right, sir?
I did.
Right, and you did not understood or you did not include this in your internal affairs report because you didn't interview Brian McGee, correct?
I did not interview Brian.
All right, and going a little bit below that, Ms. Cohen, under training, it's about a 3rd, 4th way through. Yeah, there you go. Would you kindly highlight that portion, please? Thank you. In this portion, sir, you must have read this as part of your thorough, unbiased, complete investigation, correct?
I read the DUI.
Okay. Under training, Officer Jay Vazquez is a quick learner and is able to understand my directions. Did you read that portion?
I don't recall.
As you sit here today, or stand here today, do you agree with what Officer McGee wrote?
That Officer Vasquez is a quick learner and
Yeah.
able to understand his decisions.
Yes, sir.
You want my opinion on Officer Julian Vasquez being a quick learner?
Well, no. Do you dispute? Do you have any evidence to dispute what Officer McGee wrote in the DOR?
No.
Okay. Next line. I explained to him the above mentioned advisements, and he stated that he understands what they are now. Did you see that?
Yes.
At the completion of the blood draw process at TMH, I made sure to explain each step we took, and Officer Jay Vazquez stated he understood. Did you see that, sir?
Yes.
Based on your impression, did you take that to mean that Officer Vazquez learned from the mistakes he made in this process? Did you take that to mean that?
I would interpret it that way.
And as a former field training officer, you also seen trainees make mistakes on DUI stops, correct?
Trainees make mistakes.
It's specifically on drunk driving stops, correct, sir?
Certainly.
Because DUIs, the advisements and the process for DUIs, that's a very technical endeavor. Agreed?
DUIs can be complicated.
But it's also a very technical endeavor. Would you agree with that?
In terms of, I don't know what you're getting at, sir.
Sure. You have to monitor the driver, right, constantly for the 15 minutes. You have to ensure and ask very specific questions from the DMV form and such. Would you agree that it's a very technical endeavor?
Yes.
Okay, and people just sometimes make mistakes, right?
Some people make mistakes, yes, sir.
And this coercive statement that you wrote in the report, that's the advisement to whether or not voluntarily give blood. Is that right?
Mischaracterizes the document and testimony.
I'm asking the witness whether or not it's correct.
Is that an objection?
Yes.
Can I hear the question again, please?
Can you come back?
Yeah, I would recommend a rule of objection. As long as the witness understands the question.
I don't understand the question.
What was the coercive statement attributed to my client, sir?
It was regarding the admonition for the DUI to the arrestee.
About whether or not he can give blood sample as part of his refusal, correct? Wasn't that the issue?
Well, yes, the statement he provided to him was essentially coercive in that he suggested that if he didn't, that there would be these consequences that were laid out that we discussed earlier.
Very well. Thank you for the clarification. But nevertheless, the city attorney's office filed the DUI, correct? They prosecuted Mr. Yusuf for the driving under the influence, correct?
They did file the case.
Okay. So they filed the case with those facts, correct?
I would assume so.
Okay. And ultimately, and Ms. Cohn, if you can go to page 505 at the bottom of the PDF, could you just highlight that or zoom in, please? And page 5, sir, is the last page of the daily observation report.
you clearly reviewed this document as well, correct?
This appears to be the same DOR.
It is, but I'm just asking, you reviewed this last page of the DOR as part of your investigation, true?
I don't recall.
All right. Do you dispute what's the signature lines say?
No.
Okay. Date, you see the second line here, FTO e-signature, do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. And then you see date signed, you see that?
Yes.
February 4th, 2022, correct? McGee, Bryan, and his serial numbers.
Correct.
All right. And then there's a supervisor's e-signature, correct?
Correct.
And it was signed on 2/7/2022, correct?
Yes.
And that was Sergeant Stiller, correct?
Correct.
Did you interview Sergeant Stiller in this case?
No.
Did you ask him, hey, how come you passed this person on training knowing this potentially coercive statement or anything like that? Did you make any inquiries?
No, I did not.
You would agree with me that the department knew about this incident at least on 2/7/2022, correct?
Yes.
There's no exceptions to the 1-year rule under the peace officers procedural bill of rights?
Object and calls for a legal conclusion.
I'll recommend the same.
I'll rephrase. You understand as an internal affairs investigator, not asking for a legal conclusion, but you understand that you have 1 year to complete an investigation absent some exceptions, correct?
Yeah, the objection calls for a legal conclusion of mischaracterizes testimony, vague and ambiguous.
I had a question again.
You understand as an internal affairs investigator, not asking for a legal conclusion, but you understand that you have 1 year to complete an investigation absent some exceptions, correct?
Calling for legal conclusion.
And objection calls for a legal conclusion, Ms. Curtis,
I would recommend it.
Overruled.
Okay, sir. Do you understand that?
I understand that from the date that a supervisor becomes aware of a misconduct, that we have 1 year to investigate that misconduct.
All right, so slightly not from what I'm asking, let me do it again, okay?
Okay.
I'll break it down for you. You were assigned to the Torrance Police Department Internal Affairs Division, correct?
Yeah.
And before you did that job, you went through I'm presuming a 40-hour class on how to conduct an internal affairs investigation?
I don't remember if it was 40 hours, but I went through training.
You went through I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I went through training for, specifically for internal affairs investigation.
And that was offered by an agency that's accredited by the Peace Officer Standards and Training?
I don't recall.
Okay. In that training, do you recall if they instructed you that you have 1 year from the date of the incident that a supervisor becomes aware to the day you issue a proposed discipline?
No. Objection vague and ambiguous. Calls for legal.
I would recommend overruling. He's being asked his recollection of training, so I don't think he's setting it up as a legal standard, just his prior experience.
Please answer.
Yes.
Okay. So 1 year from the date a supervisor, which in your department is a sergeant, becomes aware of a misconduct, right?
Yes.
Looking at that screen above you, which is Exhibit 8, and is titled DOR Daily Observation Report Month 2_4 Julian Vazquez. Sergeant Stiller at that time was a sergeant for the Torrance Police Department, correct?
Yes.
Would you agree that he had some knowledge when he signed this DOR of what happened from the arrest of the DUI involving Mr. Yusuf?
Objection lacks foundation and vague and ambiguous.
I would recommend sustaining that.
I'll rephrase.
Mr. Eby, do you need the chair to make a ruling?
Very well.
Sustained.
We can agree that Sergeant Stiller signed the daily observation report on February 7, 2022, correct?
I have no reason to dispute that.
Okay. We know that the DUI happened on February 3rd, 2022, correct?
I don't recall the date.
Okay. Do you dispute that this DUI happened on February 3rd, 2022?
No.
Okay. So if we know, based on what you just testified, that Sergeant Stiller signed this DOR on February 7, 2022, and the DUI arrest happened 4 days prior, would you agree with me that in signing this DOR, a supervisor had some knowledge of what happened in this incident?
Quick check, this calls for speculation, lacks foundation, and vague and ambiguous.
I would recommend sustaining the first two.
Sustained.
Sergeant, Lieutenant Misulkus, when you undertook this case, did you ask yourself at any point during the investigation, geez, did Sergeant Stiller find out what happened in this case if his signature's on the bottom? Did you ask yourself that?
I don't recall.
You didn't write any of this as far as supervisor's knowledge in your report, correct?
Regarding the FGO signature?
No, regarding the FTO supervisor e-signature. Did you notate that in your internal affairs report when you sent it up to your chain of command?
I don't believe so.
You don't believe so. Did you tell your supervisors, hey, Lieutenant Fisher, or was it Lieutenant Chan back then, hey, you know, Sergeant Stiller, he signed this thing 3 days after, and it's been 2 years. I don't know if we meet our 1-year requirement. Any conversations like that with your bosses?
No.
Well, let's look at another supervisor's. Sergeant Fujimoto, Fugimoto, he was a sergeant that day on scene, is that right?
Yes.
And I'm going to draw your attention to another exhibit under Exhibit 8, and it's captioned Case Summary. If you can go to Ms. Cohen, page 8 for me, that'd be great. Sorry, page 7. And where it says at 16:46:29, could you just kind of highlight that portion, Ms. Cohen? Okay. So based on your investigation, you knew that Sergeant Fujimoto was also on scene supervising this entire arrest, correct?
I don't recall when Sergeant Fujimoto arrived, but he was present.
And he's a witness to this incident, correct?
I'm not aware of when he got there or what he witnessed.
Right, because you never interviewed him, correct?
Correct.
You never interviewed the supervisor that responded to the DUI with a crash that involved this advisement, right?
Correct.
I think this is a logical point for me to stop because I'm going to get into another area and I don't want to tie up another minutes and stop there.
Thank you for that. I think this is the time I admonish you. There are other witnesses waiting to testify. Please do not discuss your testimony or the evidence with anyone. You may leave the meeting at this time, but you will be coming back on our next meeting, which is February 23rd. Thank you. At this time, the hearing will conclude for the evening and continue on February 23rd, 2026.
6 p.m.
It's on the agenda, yeah.
That's always good, but I mean, it's kind of adds up and there's like an hour long thing.
Yeah.
At this point, we do not